Many are called. Many, many, many are called. But very few are chosen. And that few are chosen, we unfortunately often we see it as something that happens from the outside, as something that destiny does to us. Well, I'm chosen or I'm not chosen. Let's see what it will be. No, the choice is within you.
So, from one perspective, the entirety of life, the entirety of the manifested universe is a metaphor. It's like, let's say, a participation show, a game, work therapy, art therapy. It is all, the entire universe, from one perspective, it is all meant to create an inner state, to create an inner attitude. It is aimed, as the scriptures, sacred scriptures teach us, it is aimed to teach us love and selflessness. But this attitude, it needs to rise freely in us. We are not there to be programmed for it. It is not meant that we would be robotically manipulated to become loving and selfless, but rather that we will go around, play around in this manifestation and get the point ourselves. We need to choose to awaken this attitude. And that choice, after trying to be selfish, trying not to be loving, trying I don't know what, in the end of the day, it is meant for us to come out of this labyrinth by choosing love and selflessness. And it is somehow this game, this metaphor of the universe, it is there to create a temptation, so that we can refuse the temptation and learn the attitude. The temptation is not to work on our inner attitude, not to perfect and put our resources where they count, into becoming selfless and loving, but to try to change the outer world in order to be happy. To try to make the outer world fit our selfish needs in a way to become happy. This is the temptation. The temptation is to do something on the outside in order to find happiness and freedom inside. But actually it is all meant for this shift of attitude. Now, sooner or later this shift will arrive in anyone. Everybody will come out of the labyrinth, hopefully. Just for some people it will be 1 or 2 or 5 years and lifetimes of some suffering, some joy, some suffering, some joy. And for others it can be tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of years and incarnations and pains until they get the point that this is a dead end and this is a dead end and this is a dead end and this is a dead end. And instead of really contemplating, taking a step backwards and trying to get life as a total, we just try to get this thing. This outer thing will make me, this relationship, this food, this I don't know what, praise, if I get praise from enough people, everything will be okay. And then that precious energy of life that could have been and should have been invested in creating love and selflessness inside is wasted. It is essentially that. It is that simple as an understanding, not so simple in the application, because the drive towards selfishness is pretty big and the drive towards the outer world is pretty big. But if you understand this one understanding and you hold on to it with all your might, with all your strength, you hold on to being loving and being selfless and ground yourself in that attitude, the universe will award you with everything, because you're on your way out. You solved, or you're on your way to solve the riddle once this state is established. Karma Yoga is a system in which we learn to do that. We learn to awaken that attitude through action. So Karma Yoga is the school of learning love and selflessness through action. Ordinary work, we work for our own welfare, for our own happiness, to heal and avoid and reduce our own suffering. We go to work to get money, to go to the doctor, to pay for this, to pay for that. It is that. Karma yoga is working for everyone's welfare. Karma yoga is working for everyone's happiness. Karma yoga is working to reduce suffering in everyone. When we work for personal gain, when we work for money, the energy, the driving force that empowers our work is our own individual hunger, our own individual desire. Very little, very limited driving force, which puts us away from the correct selfless attitude. When we work from the perspective, from the heart, when we work in real karma yoga, the energy that empowers us is the universal hunger to heal suffering. How much the universe wants to end suffering for everyone, for everything. How much the universe wants everyone to be happy. How much the universe wants the welfare of all beings. When we click into that, this state of pure love appears, this state of selflessness appears. It becomes alive. It is burning. And you can feel in the midst of your karma yoga task, if you're throwing the garbage, if you're cleaning the floor, if you are writing something, reading something, collecting something, you can feel this craving of the universe to end suffering, to bring happiness. And that empowers you with such a joy, with such a creativity. When this state of love, of selflessness is attained, at least we touch the outskirts of it, we touch the beginning of it, we get the flavor of it. Everything is uplifted. Whatever you do, you are walking on clouds. The weight of life, this suffocating meaninglessness, which is the burdening weight of life, is not the weight of the external life. The external life is just a metaphor. It is not actually pressing. It is our own selfishness which makes everything gray and painful. And as we click open and free from that, our hearts are like a bird. And whatever the show of life is showing to us, there is a kind of happiness. Not a kind of happiness, but a very clear happiness that stands as a background, as a wonderful, wonderful background. In the writings of Frankl from the Holocaust, there is a moment where he shifts, he clicks, he understands that he's already there in the Holocaust. There's nothing he can do. This is just the worst. If you think you have troubles in life, read The Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl in the Holocaust in Auschwitz had more trouble than you, no matter who you are. More trouble. But he shifts and he understands that even there, the Nazis can't take away his freedom to choose his attitude. So he chooses to help the others. Being a very good psychologist, he chooses to help the others to give meaning to their life so that they don't suicide. And he's able, with very wise words, to save people's lives. And through that, giving meaning to his own life, to save his own life. So even in the worst circumstances, even if when the show of life looks the worst, you can still learn that essential lesson. It is always accessible, and this is why this entire game is here. So that our souls, our spirit that incarnate and incarnate and incarnate can choose to learn to cultivate love and selflessness and crack open. So that this miracle of multiplicity in unity can happen. Yeah, why do the angels sing together? All these visions from heaven. They sing hundreds and thousands and millions of angels with the most wonderful instruments, with one tone. They are many, but there is one consciousness that creates all this music through them. This is the meaning. And for that, they are not like, oh, I should do something to get some attention here. One of the angels makes a big solo and destroys the whole harmony. No, it doesn't matter. I'm nothing and nobody. The universe has harmony, and I'm selflessly, lovingly playing my tone. And I'd like to conclude with the poem of St. Francis that complies to that. This is the Dharma of St. Francis. How do you find your karma yoga, your dharma, your selfless place in the whole, like an organ that is reinstalled in the body? He says the following: Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow your love. Where there is injury, O pardon, Lord. Where there is doubt, let me be faith. Where there is despair, let me be hope. Where there is darkness, let me be light. Where there is sadness, let me be joy. O Master, grant that I may never seek to be consoled as much as to console, that I may not seek to be understood, but that I may search to understand, that I will not search to be loved, but to love, that I will not search to receive, but to give. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. So this indeed, he essentializes. It was the perfect karma yogi, St. Francis, and he essentializes this attitude. If you want an example of somebody that got it, that understood this riddle of life and lived to that understanding, St. Francis is an amazing example for that.
I'm sure that all of you have been already inspired in one way or another for this path of karma yoga, and you like probably the things that you do, and you probably do them with a more and more selfless attitude. Yeah, all of us have had these wonderful experiences, but then if you want to really make it a path, then somehow everything that Uriel says needs to go into more and more nuance somehow. Because evidently, if we are not enlightened yet, then there will be something inside of us that isn't aligned with this beautiful prayer of Francis that we just heard. Evidently, there will be something that is still missing. And I feel, especially once you sort of get the hang of it and you are doing quite nice things for people and you are not so much about the money and so forth, then it is important to somehow look deeper and to really honestly contemplate. Because what I've seen is it's very easy for people to enter the path. Many are called, many, many, many are called, but very few are chosen. And that few are chosen, we unfortunately often we see it as something that happens from the outside, as something that destiny does to us. Well, I'm chosen or I'm not chosen. Let's see what it will be. No, the choice is within you. The choice to again and again and again check yourself, to again and again measure yourself next to this ideal that you are seeking for. And that doesn't have to be at all depressing. It's something that gives you enthusiasm, like the child that measures themselves every day. It stands there, mommy, mommy, measure me also today. Yes, baby, but you didn't even do 1 millimeter. Why you want to be measured again? No, 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 no. Measure me again, because I will be 185 like daddy, or whatever they might have in mind. And with that enthusiasm, we need to come somehow to any path that we want to walk, and the same with the path of karma yoga. And of course, these paths that are sort of a bit more riddled, like the path of karma yoga, also the path of tantric eroticism, also a lot of other things, bhakti and so forth, where it's not like, okay, you have this amount of yoga every day, this amount of meditation every day, but it is an attitude path. They will very easily distort into something mundane, into something profane. So check yourself all the time, because the yellow zone is moving forward very quickly. It will be very quick that you are doing this, but now I'm doing this, and this is mine. And now I'm doing this, and I will get something in that way. Look, and then, at some point you still speak about it, and then you don't speak about it anymore, but you will sit in front of the article that you wrote. Look what I did. Great, right? And you need to go deeper and deeper and deeper in order to really make it a path. Otherwise, it remains a nice idea, and it will do some nice things for you, and that's great. But in order to not just be some nice thing to do, but an actual path, it needs this continuous remeasuring yourself in front of this ideal, and reminding your heart of this ideal, because this ideal is alive in your soul. It's not something that you need to reinvent. It's rather you need to forget some stuff in order for this to shine through. So I would really encourage you to sort of really go into where you are at on your path of karma yoga, because maybe you're very advanced, and maybe you're very much in the beginning, and it doesn't matter. All of us have still steps to do, and it's good for all of us to aim to be as quick as possible, and not to wait around because I have some stuff figured out. I live in a nice community, I don't eat meat, and I sometimes do some service. Good, very good. And now next step, and next step, and next step. In the whole tantric viewpoint of things, that's just completely beyond any of these arguments, because basically now, from the question that you put, the idea is there's a polarity, let's say, between, well, is it wrong to accumulate money, or is it right to accumulate money? In a tantric sense, it's like, who cares? Like, money is an energy. As a tantric, you control any energy. It doesn't matter. If you need money, then like Nityananda, who had to pay the people that were helping him there building some stuff, and they would line up in the evening, he would stick his hand into a tree and pull out exactly the amount for the hours that they were doing. It's like, it's not even a thing. Money is just a resource, in the same way that, you have semen, and you have, menstrual blood. And now is the argument, well, it's good to accumulate semen and menstrual blood, or is it a bad thing? Or it's an energy. It depends on what you do with it, and if you are acting, based on integration, basically. So the argument in itself is sort of polarizing something that is not so meaningful from a spiritual viewpoint. There's absolutely nothing wrong with money that is flowing in an integrated way. That is an integrated energy. And there's everything wrong with money that is flowing in an unintegrated way, like any other energy as well.
You see, how much did the GDP of the world grow in the last 100 years, the last 200 years? Immensely. Did it take away suffering? When souls live this world, are they more free because there's more GDP in the world? They are screen addicted, poor people. There's no screens after they die. How much suffering? We are all have degenerated to but huge numbers of people have degenerated to the spoiled children of rich parents, because almost everyone now, like if you take in a standard of a few thousand years, almost everyone are rich now. The king 500 years ago wouldn't live with such amount of entertainment like we live today. He would have the guy with the violin once a day and the guy with the puppet show, That's that. We have more entertainment than King Solomon. And we have a better transport services and so forth. And is the human suffering gone? And then you take that money and you throw it on some poor children. Very good. If you already have the money, please donate it to the poor. That's what Christ said. Very good. But he said, give all your money to the poor. He didn't say give some of your money to the poor and the rest go for prostitutes, have a time of your life. No. The rest go to Spanish, French Riviera and enjoy. No, give all of it. It's difficult for rich people to enter paradise, yeah? Like a little camel there in in the hole of a needle. Very difficult, because you're full of yourself. And you forget that death is imminent and 100. It's a very simple mathematic. What's your chances of dying? 100%. Then what's the value of money from the perspective of your soul? And also from the perspective of the souls you help. It is important if you have money to help, because you spread love in the world. And love has, this is the real coin. Yeah, that love relieves suffering, relieves ignorance, yes. So if you have it, donate it. Great idea that your friend had to make money in order to donate it. But is it the sole motivation she's making money? This is how people even say, oh, if I don't have money, I starve, which they don't know anybody in the world. None of their friends is starving. So I have to make money, or I make money to donate to the poor. And then, okay, with some of it, I really enjoy and indulge in whatever materialistic things which make my soul empty and make me more selfish, more greedy, more attached to this world in the end of the day. So it is a cover, you know. It's quite a pathetic cover for an actual selfish wish for some pleasures, comfort, status, showing off, competing. Useless, 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 useless.
Celebrating yourself.
Celebrating yourself. Being occupied with selfishness and being gratified. The numbers, the bank account, the numbers. It's not the gold and my precious. You don't have gold in your house, but you have numbers. And it's a sick pleasure. So it can be pierced through these arguments. If you want to help the world, inspiring examples helped. Some people lived in the time of Franciscus and donated more money than him, but they're gone. Franciscus today brings life to our hearts after 900 years. That's value.
You can somehow determine the way that an energy is handled by how much fuss somebody's making about it. You know these people that tell you all the time how good they are in bed? Probably not so good in bed. You know, they may be a bit better than their friends, but, you know, not comparable to anything that would be godly. A master, and there were many masters, with a ton of money going through their systems in order to actually help, and you didn't even know of it. You don't think of Mother Teresa and you think of a ton of money. You know how much money that woman put together? Like billions that went through all her different organizations and so forth, and you don't hear of it because it's flowing correctly. You know, a car engine, it's when it makes sounds, it's problematic. When it doesn't make sounds, it's good. Then it's running. It's the same here. It's with all the energy the same. You make all the time a big deal about how you're subliming. You're probably not subliming so much, right? You're stuck up and busy with one particular energy all the time. And yeah, probably is stuck. That's why it makes a sound. And it's the same here. If you every time is a discussion about how much money you should make in order to donate, well, something is stuck in the system, clearly. Otherwise, the money would just flow exactly in the way that is needed. And there wouldn't be even the idea that it's my money that I need to make in order to give it to someone. There's no such thing.
You see, you will forget about your own needs when your selflessness is actually a selfish need to please others. It's not a real selflessness. When you have a lot of wish to please others, you will forget yourself in a sick way. When it's real selflessness and love, it doesn't exclude you. It's like a cell. A cell doesn't exclude itself, but it is mostly occupied with the tissue, with the organ, with the body. There is a drive there, and it is so energizing, it is so invigorating, the selflessness, that you are filled. You know that it's real selflessness because you are sparkling, and you are so energized and so enthusiasm and so full of love that your needs will be fulfilled when they need to be fulfilled. There is a certain true selflessness and love is awakening a certain superior consciousness, which will then take care of one's individual needs. Very good and very just like that. it is inbuilt in the power, in the light of selflessness when it's real. But when it's slightly fake, when it is a wish to please others, or when it's a wish to punish oneself and serving others as a means of, I have to clear out my guilt, and therefore I do only for others, if it has a sick intention in the matrix, that sick intention will eventually create something sick and unbalanced in that attitude. But the ecstatic joy of real selflessness and love is so fulfilling, and it is so natural to fulfill your little needs there quickly and efficiently without any trace of imbalance.
The needs of your being, they will always be integrated with a bigger flow of whatever else is going on. They will be covered. And wherever the extra starts is where selfishness starts, basically, right? So if it's like, well, yeah, of course I need to eat, right? Fine. So I, make sure that I have a little bit of money or a little tree in the garden so I can eat. And that's it. The drama of the food and how the food needs to be and in which place in the fridge it should sit and how nobody else should ever look at the food, touch the food, think about the food, do anything about the food, all of that is selfish, right? So the needs are always put into a place of balance. They always have exactly the line of integration with everything else. And usually there is an excuse of the ego to sort of hijack the needs and to say, well, yeah, but I have these needs and therefore... No, usually it's a little split part of that, which is fine, which should be acknowledged and which should be taken care of. But it's usually 99.9% of the thing that we are so busy and so agitated about is complete nonsense. You don't need as much comfort, as much silence, as much praise, as much food, as much cars, as much, and we always mention material things, even though in our communities it's much more usually social stuff that this is about. But we don't need any of that. We don't die without chocolate and without, I don't know what you need, each time a different taste on your tongue. But it's fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but as long as you're detached and you allow yourself to be in a line of integration, it's all good. But gluttony starts when it's like, no, but I need, but I want, but I have to, but this is... That's the problem. So look out for when that happens. And it's for all of us, we are far, far, far away in some area from that actual limit, from that actual balance line, because we are so busy to pamper our ego and to give it another thing and another thing. So for sure, it will not make a sound and disturb us in our little fake peace. So this is the problem.
There's this Tibetan quote which says, "Take the advice of an old cow that was happy to sleep in the barn." Need very, very little and want even less. It's a very sweet quote. Yes, there is peace in that, When you don't have peace, you search for external things. When you stop searching for external things, you have peace, and then you don't need to search. It's a little game there.
Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content on spirituality, Tantra and more.
And if you want to sign up for our online classes or for our retreats, you can see our website on the description below.